I don't even have I can't even use my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm 23, like I use my phone a lot.
Yeah.
While red carpet attire may seem fashionable and glamorous, the reality behind the scenes of a movie is a different story.
And I went back to my trailer and put my leg through the wall, and I told Ron Howard I couldn't do the movie.
Many actors endure pain and suffering in the costumes their characters have to wear. From suffocating suits to constricting costumes, Hollywood history is peppered with excruciating outfits that left stars gasping for air and struggling to pee. In this video, we reveal the top 20 most uncomfortable costumes worn by actors, shedding light on the wardrobe woes that push them to their limits. These are the 20 most uncomfortable outfits that actors had to wear. Number 1. Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. Jennifer Lawrence's portrayal of Mystique in the X-Men series remains iconic, yet her experience slipping into her character Mystique's skin wasn't exactly pleasant for the Oscar-winning actress. Bringing Mystique to life demanded a tremendous effort. Dousing her body in blue paint and wearing extensive prosthetics took a staggering 6 hours. And if that wasn't enough, the costume was so tight she was unable to sit down while wearing it. She had used a funnel during bathroom breaks, and this frequent occurrence meant the suit developed a characteristic smell. However, despite these issues, Lawrence remained true to her word and agreed to reprise her role for the third installment of the X-Men series. It was when Simon Kinberg took the helm as the director that something shifted. Under his guidance, Lawrence felt an even stronger connection to her character than ever before, solidifying her dedication to the role despite the less than glamorous aspects of bringing Mystique to life. Number 2. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Ranked at number 2, we have the remarkable Robert Downey Jr., synonymous with the charismatic Iron Man. Yet beneath the glitz and glamour there lies discomfort. Putting on the Iron Man suit was quite an arduous process, and his movement in it was severely restricted with it. The actor himself recently disclosed on a talk show that the suit was far from cozy. Downey disclosed that the helmet would sometimes slam shut, obscuring his vision entirely, leaving him blind as a bat. Imagine that, unable to see and barely able to move in the Iron Man suit. The discomfort ran deep, and Downey Jr. has said he would contemplate passing on future roles that required elaborate costumes. The year 2008 marked the first Iron Man film, and following that, the iconic suit evolved into a more complex entity. Marvel Studios, ever the innovators, delved into CGI technology, breathing life into the suit's appearance and making it easier for Downey Jr. to put on. Number 3. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man may seem like the ultimate dream job, but the costume can be a nightmare. Being a superhero comes with its fair share of challenges, particularly when it comes to donning that iconic suit. While the Spider-Man costume is a symbol of comic book history, few realize just how uncomfortable it can be in reality. First off, the suit's design covers every inch of Tom's body, depriving him of proper airflow and the chance to cool down. This leads to buildup of sweat and dehydration. But that's just one issue. The mask is actually sewn into the suit, making even drinking water almost impossible. Tom has to strategically insert a straw through the suit just to stay hydrated, which is far from convenient when you're busy saving the world. And then there's the bathroom challenge. Every time nature calls, he has to take off the entire suit, a time-consuming process that requires careful planning. Imagine having to schedule your bathroom breaks 45 minutes in advance to avoid disrupting the entire production. It's an aspect of being Spider-Man that's as real as it gets. The suit covers the entire body, making something as simple as scratching an itch seem like a real struggle. A behind-the-scenes video shared by Sony captures Tom Holland's struggle to scratch an itch on his nose. Speaking of his nose, using a phone while in the suit is also almost impossible. This led Tom to perfect the art of liking pictures with his nose. It's an ingenious workaround for an everyday activity that becomes oddly complex in superhero attire. So the next time you marvel at Spider-Man's acrobatics and heroics, spare a thought for the less glamorous aspects of suiting up. It may look amazing, but as Tom Holland can tell, it doesn't exactly feel that way. Number 4. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. When it comes to superheroes, you might expect their costumes to embody comfort, style, and practicality. Unfortunately, this is rarely the case. Scarlett Johansson had her own traumatic experience while portraying Black Widow. At first glance, her sleek black one-piece might seem like no big deal, but in truth, it was more akin to a torture chamber. The unforgiving attire locked in heat, moisture, and every undesirable element you'd want to avoid on your skin. The skin-tight nature of the outfit was so extreme that Johansson couldn't even don underwear. Imagine performing daring stunts, executing flips, and landing kicks without any sweat absorption or protection in sensitive areas. If that wasn't challenging enough, The combination of stifling heat and poor ventilation even led to moments of hallucination during a particularly grueling combat scene. It's hard to fault her for fantasizing about escaping into a freezer. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option. Instead, Johansson had to soldier on, enduring hours of shooting with sweat streaming down her body. It's no surprise that she breathed a sigh of relief when her new costume for the standalone Black Widow film was finally released with modifications. Number 5. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, the embodiment of the powerful and fearless Wonder Woman, couldn't escape the grip of a snug-fitting superhero ensemble. The Israeli actress candidly revealed that the costume's constriction was so intense that she came dangerously close to blacking out due to oxygen deprivation. Thankfully, a vigilant member of the crew intervened just in time, averting a potential catastrophe. That would have been anything but wonderful for Wonder Woman, but the issues with the costume didn't stop at mere tightness. Many also considered it quite revealing. This was a bit controversial because her male co-stars were dressed in full sleeves and long pants. When asked how vulnerable she felt in the costume, she simply replied she was more concerned about the cold. Fortunately, by the time Gadot embarked on her standalone Wonder Woman film, some modifications had been made. The leather suit was given a bit more breathing space, ensuring that Gadot could actually, breathe. Number 6, Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman's portrayal of the regal Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a triumph, blending both acting prowess and remarkable costuming. The formidable warrior king exuded an aura of power and significance, yet the truth behind the scenes unveils a different tale. The costume, while visually striking, was anything but comfortable. In an interview with Comic Book Movie, Boseman opened up about the challenges posed by the restrictive suit. It wasn't just about aesthetics. The attire made certain scenes a real struggle, even affecting his ability to breathe freely. Boseman said he had to keep his cool during filming by maintaining a zen-like state as he struggled to maneuver with the constraints of the costume. It's hardly surprising given the formidable amount of vibranium that Wakanda must have poured into crafting this bulletproof suit. Despite the initial discomfort, Boseman managed to find his rhythm within the Black Panther suit. He eventually remarked that the costume began to feel like a second skin. Regrettably, Chadwick Boseman passed away and won't get to don the suit again. However, his iconic portrayal and the profound impact it had on the world of cinema will forever stand as a testament to his talent and the legacy he leaves behind. Number 7, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO. Anthony Daniels might not instantly trigger recognition, but mention C-3PO, and the whole world knows who you're referring to, the prim and proper gilded droid from Star Wars. However, don't let the robot's polished demeanor deceive you. When the actor first donned that iconic golden suit, Daniels candidly labeled the experience as nightmarish. The process of suiting up itself took at least 2 hours. There was also the isolation of being encased in a suit. Daniels revealed he often felt slightly detached from his fellow cast members. In the early days, folks would approach him, showering compliments on the outfit, but unwittingly sidelining the fact that a human actor resided within the metallic shell. Despite this, Daniels remained professional, persevering throughout the claustrophobic ordeal. Thankfully, the passage of time brought improvements. While he still finds himself donning the suit for extended stretches, Daniels can now breathe a bit easier, quite literally. The new version of the suit can be worn in 6 minutes, a remarkable leap forward from the laborious process of the previous one. Number 8, Paul Bettany as Vision. Paul Bettany may flaunt one of the slickest costumes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Vision, but slipping into that snug suit isn't all smooth sailing. According to Bettany, the suit is a bit of a pain, literally, and hardly a cozy fit. The real thorn in his side is the snug material around his head, which is really uncomfortable. Despite all these, Bettany considers himself fortunate to play such an iconic character. He owes a nod of gratitude to director Joss Whedon for greenlighting his dual role, despite Bettany already voicing Jarvis in the franchise. However, Bettany cheekily admits to trying his hardest to dodge wearing his costume whenever possible. Can you blame him, though? Just the process of squeezing into it takes 3.5 hours, and once it's on for a full 10-hour stint on set, complete with restricted visibility and minimal airflow. Through it all, Bettany's sense of humor remains. He playfully remarked that the suit only graced his presence when there's a paycheck involved, and that he can disrobe from it in the blink of an eye. 30 seconds to be exact. When faced with the age-old dilemma of going au naturel or adorning the Vision suit all day, Bettany initially pondered the question, but eventually opted to go naked. His reason? Escaping the heat exhaustion sounds infinitely more appealing. Bettany, funny as ever, making even the tightest of suits a light affair. Number 9, Ralph Fiennes as Lord Voldemort. Ralph Fiennes, undoubtedly one of the finest actors of our era, showcased his exceptional talent playing the menacing Voldemort in the Harry Potter series. Yet behind the scenes, his stint as the dark antagonist wasn't all smooth sailing. While the white makeup, latex brows, and fake teeth helped his transformation into the fearsome character, wearing them for such an extended period was particularly uncomfortable. Fiennes openly expressed his dislike for makeup to the extent that he contemplated declining future roles that demanded intricate and special makeup. Morphing into the Voldemort character was a painstaking and unbearable process, and it's not hard to see why he might have been reluctant to do that again. In spite of the discomfort, Fiennes delivered an utterly bone-chilling performance, making his name as one of the most remarkable actors of his generation. His on-screen portrayal of Voldemort was so effective, it's virtually impossible to envision anyone else in that role. Number 10, Jeff Goldblum as the Fly. Jeff Goldblum, famous for his delightful and comedic performances in films like Jurassic Park and Independence Day, ventured into a different realm in 1986 with the horror flick, The Fly. In this chilling movie, he transformed into a grotesque human-insect hybrid, a role that required immense dedication. To embody his character, Goldblum endured a rigorous daily routine, putting on a full rubber bodysuit and intricate facial prosthetics. Applying the elaborate costume alone took 5 hours, but Goldblum's ever-charming personality meant he rarely complained. He even remarked, "It's not comfortable, but it wasn't bad. It was a fun thing to do." The standout feature of The Fly was its Oscar-winning makeup effects, masterfully crafted by Chris Wallace and meticulously applied by Stephen Dupuis through the grueling 5-hour process. The transformation was so hauntingly convincing that it left an indelible mark on the horror genre. Goldblum's commitment to the role and the extraordinary makeup effects contributed to the film's lasting impact. Number 11, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal of Catwoman in Batman Returns has become nothing short of iconic. From the whip to the sleek suit to the alluring meows, every element clicked seamlessly. The skin-tight costume wasn't all purrs and prowls for Miss Pfeiffer. In fact, it turned into a bit of a nightmare. In a candid chat with The Hollywood Reporter, she confessed that the suit was so constricting that she had to be literally sewn into it. She went on to say it was the most uncomfortable thing she had ever worn. Pfeiffer candidly recounted a bout of panic as she realized her suit's vice-like grip rendered her unable to hear, move, or even properly breathe. Not exactly the ideal circumstances for a stellar performance from an actress. But the challenges weren't exclusive to Michelle Pfeiffer. Anne Hathaway, who took on the role of Catwoman in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, also had her share of suit-related struggles. She aptly dubbed her costume ordeal a psychological terrorist that cast its shadow over her entire year, as she revealed in an interview with Allure magazine. Number 12, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie, a remarkable actress who breathed life into the live-action rendition of Harley Quinn, won hearts with her portrayal of the character. However, it's important to recall the unconventional costume she had for the role. While certain fans admired the meticulous costume design, Robbie candidly confessed her unease. In an interview with the New York Times, she elaborated that while she could rationalize the wardrobe, citing her character's penchant for snazzy hot pants, she didn't want to invite lingering gazes on her butt. Besides trying to avoid sneers, she did acknowledge that the overall discomfort was real. In a scene where you're doused and drenched in a clingy white tee, it's a recipe for self-consciousness that could strike anyone. It is also worth mentioning Margot Robbie's sheer professionalism. She aced the role despite the uncomfortable costumes. Although she tried to persuade the director to include some variety in her wardrobe, she was met with a firm no. Number 13, Jim Carrey and his iconic role as the Grinch. You know, that iconic green dude with a mean attitude. But even though the Grinch costume has become a holiday favorite, things weren't all fun and games for Jim Carrey. He had to endure hours spent getting slathered in prosthetics, a super tight yak hair outfit, and those annoying yellow contacts that just wouldn't cooperate. Jim Carrey referred to the whole incident as feeling like being buried alive every single day. He was so uncomfortable he considered quitting the movie. Getting into character wasn't easy either. Jim Carrey didn't hold back, saying it felt like a daily burial ritual. Now there's an internal bit of a debate on how long this whole transformation took. Jim claimed it took a whole 8.5 hours, while the makeup boss Rick Baker insists it was more like 2.5. Either way, that's a ton of time to spend turning into the Grinch. Jim's frustration with the costume didn't just affect him. The makeup crew had to deal with his Grinch attitude. Apparently, shoots got delayed because Jim would vanish and return to chaos. A particular makeup artist got fed up and left, refusing to work anymore unless the actor appreciated their hard work. Ultimately, Jim and the director begged the makeup artist to come back, promising a better attitude. Jim Carrey continued grappling with the nightmare of the costume. He even hired a torture expert just to help deal with the ordeal. The Grinch grind tediously lasted 92 days for Jim Carrey. Can you even imagine? That's nearly 100 days of wearing that crazy costume. Talk about dedication. Number 14, Naomi Scott as Princess Jasmine. Now let's consider stepping into the shoes, or should I say, wardrobe Naomi Scott, as Princess Jasmine in the Aladdin live-action remake. Being a Disney princess is no walk in the enchanted garden, as Naomi Scott found out. She had to put on not one, not two, but 10 new outfits for the movie. Talk about a royal closet makeover, right? Costume guru Michael Wilkinson described how each outfit was carefully thought out to match Jasmine's character arc. When she was feeling all weighed down by duties and responsibility, her dresses were all fancy, corseted, and kinda tight. But when she started tasting that sweet freedom, her outfits became more flowy and chill. It's like her wardrobe was telling a story of its own. But here's the thing, all that beauty came with a pinch of discomfort. Yep, you guessed it, those corsets. They might have been the secret sauce for some of Jasmine's looks, but Naomi Scott complained that they weren't the coziest thing to be dressed in for hours on end. Can you imagine being all dolled up but feeling a bit trapped? Well, that's the price of looking like a true Disney princess. Number 15, Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. Jolie's transformation into Maleficent was particularly difficult. First off, the costume turned her into a towering figure, way taller than her 5'7" height. Thanks to those wickedly high heels and horns, she found herself playing a real-life game of dodge the door frame, and got a few bruises in the process. It took some time, but eventually she managed to pull off the newfound height with some finesse. The genius makeup artist behind the Maleficent look was none other than Rick Baker, a 7-time Oscar winner. He crafted prosthetics that gave her cheeks, ears, and nose some extra oomph. The resin horns were wrapped around her face, in a manner Angelina Jolie described as like putting on a diaper. However, Jolie remained professional throughout the whole ordeal, with uncomfortable headgear, tricky heels, and all. She rocked the Maleficent costume like the superstar she is. Even her fellow actors on set went on to commend how wonderful she was to work with. Number 16, Ben Affleck as Batman. Affleck's portrayal of the caped crusader in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, left audiences in awe of his fierce and imposing presence. Yet beneath the superhero facade, Affleck revealed in an interview the challenges of donning the iconic Batman suit. He even had to customize the suit himself just to easily put it on. He had a particular problem with the headpiece, crafted from a very stiff leather-esque material. Bolted onto the cape, this headpiece design limited his neck's freedom, turning him into a human owl, only able to swivel his head with a full-body twist. However, a stiff-necked Batman wasn't a novelty, though. Michael Keaton once faced a similar experience in Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns movies. Affleck's annoyance didn't stop at the headpiece discomfort. The entire suit apparently played hard to get, making movement feel like a choreographed dance with discomfort. Affleck trudged through filming, enduring the weight and constriction of the suit. Balancing his dual role as actor and director, he had to summon the art of comfort performance fusion while tackling the Batsuit beast. In the midst of grappling with this suit saga, Affleck found himself both in front of and behind the camera as the director of the enigmatic, untitled Batman reboot. The double duty meant he had to be constantly present on set, adding another layer of complexity to his caped crusade. Number 17, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Landing the role of the Hulk in a mega movie franchise was a massive gig for Mark Ruffalo, but it's not an easy role. He has to put on a nuts-nullifying outfit, which isn't exactly a breezy experience. The suit is a lightweight leotard that squeezes some areas while highlighting others, and it doesn't exactly make him look like a fashion icon. Instead, he often becomes the target of many on-set jokes, making him feel quite humbled. While all the other actors are rocking their superhero attire, Ruffalo has said he feels like he's wearing goofy pajamas. However, Ruffalo doesn't let the funky suit bring him down. He powers through the discomfort and even found some support from Robert Downey Jr., aka Iron Man. In their final flick together, Downey Jr. showed some serious empathy, telling Ruffalo, "I totally get what you're going through." Ruffalo recalled this touching moment, saying, "I was like, why?" And he's like, "Because I can see how tough it is for you to hang around in that costume all day." Kudos to Ruffalo for rocking the suit and finding superhero compassion along the way. Number 18, Tim Curry as the Lord of Darkness. Tim Curry has truly played some unforgettable roles over the years, but one that sticks in the memory is his portrayal of the Lord of Darkness in Ridley Scott's 1985 film Legend. Curry had signed up for the gig before the final design for the character was even set in stone. As the concept art evolved, he realized more and more of his face would be hidden under layers of makeup. But being the ultimate pro that he is, Curry carried on ahead and nailed the role. Now let's look into the details of his transformation process. Think hours upon hours of sitting still, almost 8 hours every single day. Eventually, they managed to shave it down to a slightly less tortuous 5.5 hours. It wasn't just his face that got the makeover. His hands got fitted with some devilish nails and skin, and he had to strut around with 3-foot-long fiberglass horns strapped to his head. Initially, the horns were a bit too hefty and had to be slimmed down to save his poor back. At the end of each grueling day of shooting, Curry had to soak for a whole hour to unstick himself from all the adhesives, but unfortunately he couldn't just yank off the makeup. He learned that the hard way when he lost patience one day and tried to do just that. Result? A face that looked like it tangled with a wild beast. Remember that time when Curry had a meltdown and Ridley Scott had to do some creative shooting? Yep, that's because Curry's frustration boiled over and he had a go at removing the makeup himself. Let's just say it wasn't a pretty sight. Number 19. The Turtles in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These iconic pop culture heroes have been around for ages. Back in the 80s and 90s, they filled the comic books and TV screens, and in 1990, they hit the big screen with a bang in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, while the movie was comfortably a box office success, the turtle suits weren't so comfortable. It took an astonishing 18 weeks to put them together, and each one weighed about 60 pounds. That's like carrying around a mini-tank. Animatronics were tossed in, which made the turtles' movements lifelike, but it also meant heavier costumes. Even with all that tech, the actors had a hard time moving in the suits, especially when it came to the action scenes. Imagine how hot it got in there. Think sauna-level heat. These heroes needed a breather every now and then just to avoid becoming turtles in a microwave. Despite having cooling systems and mouth holes, those costumes turned into ovens really quickly, leading the actors to shed up to 5 pounds before lunchtime. Josh Pace, who played Raphael, had it extra tough with his claustrophobia. It was like an intense battle of wills between him and the suit. The turtle suits had a habit of breaking down, with limbs needing a regular repair between takes. Imagine trying to stay in ninja mode when your turtle limb keeps acting like a broken toy. So while they might have been legendary crime-fighting heroes, the actual costumes were heavy, sweaty, and prone to breakdowns. But hey, that's the price of turtle power, right? Number 20. Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca. Alright, let's talk about Peter Mayhew, the guy behind the iconic Chewbacca in Star Wars. Now, Chewie might have been a cinema legend, but Peter's journey inside that furball costume was no cakewalk. It was more like an intergalactic battle for comfort. Peter Mayhew went on Reddit, calling the Wookiee outfits smelly, scratchy, and just plain lumpy. Imagine enduring that for hours. In order to create the beastly attire, they used a technique called life casting. This involved creating a 3-dimensional copy of a Paul Mayhew's body through molding and casting, using a special material called alginate or alginic acid. The same non-toxic material is used by dentists to make impressions of the human teeth. The costumes were a total match with the original Chewbacca look, adding an extra layer of challenge. Peter tried to keep his cool by wearing an undersuit to fend off the itch, but it was still a struggle. After nearly 40 years of wrestling with this uncomfortable contraption, he realized people weren't recognizing him like his Star Wars buddies. Can you believe he had to explain he wasn't Howard Stern in The Empire Strikes Back? Peter actually keeled over from heat stroke thanks to the Chewbacca outfit. But guess what? The crew was more worried about a dent on the C-3PO suit than poor Peter collapsing. Even though Peter was a full-on Wookiee warrior, even he had his limits. The Force was strong, but those costumes were a force to be reckoned with too. Which of these costumes would you like to try on? Do you think you can withstand the discomfort? Let me know what you think in the comments section. I know I'd definitely try them all if I was handsomely paid. That's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.